Hi everyone, it's Alla, and today I'm going to share with you how much I spent on a long weekend in Seattle coming from Vancouver. So, after any trip, when you come back, you need to calculate your expenses, which I hated the most because I think all the time I will spend less and at the end I spend more, and you don't even know like exactly what is the exact amount. And that's why me and my friend, we were using an app for that, for tracking just our expenses. Like every time, especially when you travel with friends, sometimes they pay, sometimes you pay, that you know at the end of the day or like at the end of the trip, how much you spent and then how much you need to pay back your friend, basically. It's pretty convenient and it's easy to do. We just did it every time when we paid for something, or like at the end of the day, that was also like an option. So our biggest expense was, of course, accommodation. And honestly, we didn't even stay in Seattle. We stayed in Bellevue, which is like 30 minutes away from Seattle by bus. And it was pretty convenient. It was fine, honestly. But the only thing that you need to know that if you take bus, if you take transit, that you need to have cash. You cannot pay by card. And it was kind of hard because I didn't bring any like American dollars. I just brought I had my Canadian card and like international card that I could pay and use everywhere, but it was not the thing with the public transit. So we had to figure out where to find like where we could exchange the money. And they always charge you fees and everything. Of course, we wanted to avoid that. And we figured out that you can actually get it from the supermarket. You just ask for cash back and you literally get cash back. You get money back. And like in Canada or like in other countries, cash back means you get the for the purchase, you will get a percentage back of what you bought, basically. And it's a completely different concept. And we were trying to explain that, and then it was a misunderstanding. But anyway, $300 for accommodation for 2 nights, 2 person. Then we spent also 220 Canadian bucks for car rental for 3 days from Friday morning till Sunday evening. And it was fine because when you rent a car, it's full tanked already and you don't need to care that much about that from the beginning on, and it's enough to cross the border and like actually to get to Seattle. And the fuel is way cheaper in US, so it was I think we spent for the fuel around $50 maximum, so it's like additional $50. So I would calculate it that I will go with 270 bucks again for 2 people. I don't think that's too much, honestly, for 3 days that you have a car and you can go wherever you want to. Other expense that we had was to buy a SIM card, because we thought that it would be a great idea to have internet all the time in US, especially after crossing the border, that we would have GPS and etc. etc. So we thought it would be a good idea to buy it for 3 days and have like 3 or 4 gigabytes for the whole weekend, which cost us $16 approximately. It's totally worth it, and I would honestly recommend to do that. The next thing on my list of expenses is going to be food. Well, it's not. You cannot avoid that. Of course, we bought snacks in Canada, like for our road trip, that we have it back and forth and we don't need to take care of that. Then we didn't cook, or like we just ate out all the time. And we went like to different bakeries and like had some snacks and then like a proper meal. And then we had like also brunch and everything. And I calculated it was around $200 for 2 person, for 2 people, like literally, yeah, for the whole weekend. I honestly don't consider it that much. I expected even to be a bit more, because if you think about it, it's just like $100 Canadian bucks per person. That's not much. But we were not going like to fancy restaurants or anything. We were just if we liked something, we would buy it, or like if we feel hungry, then we would also find a place where we could eat. But we didn't do anything like extra, So we also bought some souvenirs and some other things, and also we visited some attractions that were not for free. For example, Space Needle. I think it was the most expensive attraction that we visited, and it cost around $100 for 2 people to get in. And it was totally worth it. I would recommend to do that, but it's just like you need to calculate that expense too. It's like $50 per person. Just like you need to decide if you want to do that or not. But this is the only thing that we paid for. So I think as a tourist, that's totally fine to do that. And probably the last one was basically the transit transportation in Seattle, from Bellevue to Seattle and back and forth. And in total, as I calculated, we spent around 30 bucks, 35 bucks not per person, actually, for both of us. Yeah, for the whole weekend. And honestly, I would probably prefer going by transit than parking, because as I heard, and then we looked for the prices, that was actually the main reason why we used a lot of transit, because parking is insanely expensive in Seattle and it's really hard to find it. So we saw that we're not that picky and we can just walk around. We usually do that in Vancouver anyway if we go to downtown. So it was not a big deal for us. But of course it would be another expense if you would decide to go and like park somewhere in downtown Seattle. You should definitely think about like at least 4 and sometimes like even 12, that's already US bucks per hour for parking. So summarizing everything what I said, basically we spent 921 bucks to be precise for 2 people for the long weekend in Seattle, which is not bad honestly, because it's like for 3 days and you have your own car, accommodation and food included. So basically would go with 500, or like think that I would spend there 500 bucks, which I honestly thought that I would. So we even saved a bit out of 500 bucks. So if you want to go to Seattle, just let me know. Maybe I have some tips for you how to save or what to do in Seattle. And thanks for watching. Bye.